Okay, lads, hold on to your hats because here you can beat your friends. Tips on how to drive karts fast. Now, guys, don't be doing this on the road in your road kart, please, okay? It's dangerous. You do not do this, okay? And I am not trying to convince anybody to drive fast on the road here. Just putting that out there. This is on a track, right? It's all about control. We're going to go through some footage here, okay? We're going to show you right-handers, how to take right-handers, how to take left-handers, how to take chicanes, and how to take hairpins. Because a lot of people, before we get into it, a lot of people think that you need to go really fast into a corner. That's not the case, lads. Some hairpins, especially hairpins and chicanes, people go in too quick, they get too carried away, they lose grip, they lose control, and what happens? You start sliding wide, and the other guy behind you goes in slow, out fast. This is the real golden rule. Now, it doesn't apply for every single corner in the world. It applies for a lot of them. But if you keep to this one principle, you're streaks ahead of everybody else. Slow in, fast out. Slow in, fast out. That is the golden rule. Keep that in your head. Keeping it simple. You've got to be smooth, lads. Being aggressive with the wheel, you start scrubbing off speed. Okay? So, let's go into a right-hander. So you're going up to a right-hander, guys. What you want to do here is we're going to be showing you now. So, into a right-hander. Number one, you're on the left-hand side. Because what you want to do is open up the corner and have as much of a straight line as possible, right? So you're making it less of a corner, and it gives you a nice rhythm going into the bend too. So if you're going to the right-hander, start from the left, break in a straight line. Now don't be trying to do the fancy stuff that Formula 1 guys and racing drivers do, okay? Turning in, carrying the speed in. Just keep it simple. Break in a straight line. Turn in, you want to get to the apex of the corner, the middle of the bend. This is very important because this is the shortest way around the corner, right? That's what you're looking for. Not the highest speed through a corner, you're looking through the shortest way around the bend. And it's very important that you clip that curb, or even if there's a curb that you can ride up on, get those wheels up on top of that curb. Don't be afraid to do it. Now, if you're just starting to learn, don't do the curb thing, okay? Just keep it simple. This is very, very important, all right? And get to that curb. Now, when you're braking in a straight line, you're slowing the car down. You're not committing to that power yet. So the moment you start turning in, you're aiming for that curb, that apex, all right? No power until you get to the apex of the corner, the middle of the bend. Once you get to the middle of the bend, that's where you start committing and planting that throttle down. And you want to power out of that corner as fast as you can. So let's recap. A right-hander. Start on the left. Okay, if you're looking at me, guys, obviously it's going to be weird, but start on the left. Brake in a straight line. From here, you're slowing the car down, turning in all the way to the apex, the middle of the corner. No speed, no throttle, nothing. Okay? You might think that feels weird. Nothing. When you get to the apex, the middle of the bend, that's where you start planting the throttle down and you catapult out as fast as you can. Now, believe me, I've coached a lot of guys in karting and back in the days, right? And even when they were learning, the biggest thing what people get caught up in is that lack of power from the moment you turn in to the apex of the corner. They think they need to be, going, rushing, go, get the power on, blah, 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 right? No, because this is where you're slowing the car down, preparing for the catapult assault you're going to do and commit on the throttle when you're getting to that, when you're at the apex. Okay, it's all about getting out of that corner quick. Now, let's do a left-hander. So, the left-hander, opposite thing, except the same. Hope I'm not complicating this. On left-hander, you're starting on the right-hand side. Okay, again, you're opening up the corner, right? You're taking the wide line in. You're opening it up, trying to keep the corner as a straight line as possible. So you start on the right, again, brake in a straight line, turn in. From the moment you turn in, all the way to the middle of the corner, no power, nothing. Just let it get to the apex. Once you hit the apex, that's when you start planting down the throttle again, just like we did for right-handers, planting on the throttle. And now, when you're getting on the throttle, guys, for these two, okay, for a right and left-hand corner, technically speaking, you want to be committing, and I mean like flat to the board, right? That's what you want to do. That's the ideal world. Some corners you can, some corners you can't. So you have to remember that too, right? You know, you're thinking, oh, well, you know, it's tight corner and geez, you know, when I plant the power on, I just start spitting off, right? Some people think this, okay? And that's okay, right? But some corners you just can't do, right? Some corners can be very tight. In fact, they can even close in on top of you when you're coming out of the corner. So you've got to even nurse the throttle, as in other words, on, off a little bit, right? But you are committing to that throttle. No more braking, no more anything, just throttle, okay? And you push it. Just push it, as in, if you think, am I going in a bit slow? Give it a bit more gas coming out of the corner. And then you'll know. I mean, if you spin off, well then, okay, obviously you were too quick getting on out of the power, out of the bend. Simple as that, okay? So, for right and left-hand corners, slow in, fast out. Okay? Slow in, hit the apex. When you hit the apex, boom, you are committing on that throttle. Okay, let's talk about hairpins. Now, these catch a lot of people out. If there's anything I've seen in all my coaching days, or any just mistakes people make, even in leisure karts, okay, where it really hits people the hardest, is they take hairpins too fast. People think they need to be going in faster and faster, and then it's like quicksand. Because they're going in so fast, then they start drifting wide, right? And then people behind them start overtaking, but what they haven't realized is that they've gone in too fast, and because they've done that, then they get overtaken coming out of the corner. But the problem is, a lot of people think, oh God, I took that too slow. That's why the guy behind me overtook me. It's the complete opposite thing. You need to go in slow. Slow, 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 slow. And it's just like the right and left-hand corners, right? Slow in, fast out. I mean, I've seen this so many times. The guy he'll go bombing into the corner, almost full speed. He will miss the apex. He'll just start drifting wide, and all of a sudden, just at the last second, he's realizing he's going way too fast, and he's about to go off, and guess what happens? He brakes. Right? And by the time you're braking, you're 3/4 way around the corner, and the guy behind you has gone in nice and soft and smooth and slow, and he pops out and he catapults out and nips you straight out of the corner. Slow in, fast out. Now, okay, these can be tricky. There's fast, there's medium speed, there's slow ones. They can be an art form. So again, it's the same principle, but then this is where you can shake it up. I would still continue with the attitude of you're going in slow and you're coming out fast. All right. Now this is all about transitioning. Okay. Transitioning. What do I mean? Right, left, right, left. Okay. So sometimes you turn a corner, right? And then all of a sudden, if you've got to turn fast the other way, the car can be a little slow, or the kart can be slow. Right? So you need that transition to be smooth, right? Even if you've got to sacrifice a little bit of speed going in to come out fast. And again, it's always the golden rule. In slow, out fast. All right? Now, like I said, there is tracks out there and corners in the world that you actually toss that out the window. But we're not getting too advanced and too technical here, all right? So just in case, you've heard somebody, well, that's not true. It is true for most corners. And that's the way you should treat it. So don't be trying to think, well, no, I'll try going faster. And just get to the apex first. See how you get on. Make sure you can get to the apex. If you can get to the apex, you're doing pretty well. Okay? So guys, now, let's look at wet weather driving. Now, this is a tricky one. This can catch people out. Wet weather, I would actually toss everything out the window on this one when I say in terms of a racing line. Now, I mean, Schumacher in Spain, I think it was 1996, he just dominated. 2 seconds ahead, man. Ayrton Senna was the same. Just maestros in the wet. Now, you're going in slower into corners. The wet is all about where you are 3/4 way around the corner. Not at the apex. 3/4 way around the corner. And the real secret sauce of the wet is going in slow. Yeah, sure. And again, the same kind of rule. Get to the apex if you can. But you don't commit on the power at the apex. You commit on the power 3/4 way around. Because it's you need traction and you need stability with the car or kart. Okay? Very, very important. Same golden rule. If you're going into a right-hander, start in the left, brake in a straight line, but you're obviously braking sooner now going into, because it's the wet. Don't lock up those tires. You start locking up tires, and that's why you've got to be very smooth with the brake pedal, right? Very smooth. Hard but firm, right? But tenderly too, okay? And that's very important. Get to the apex, no power, wait. Once you get 3/4 way around the corner, then you start committing. And in fact, almost, I would treat it like this. Try and keep it simple, visually simple. When you're starting to come out of a bend and you're straightening up the steering wheel, instead of getting to straight, when you're here, okay? So like if you're in the dry and you're turning into a corner, chances are the steering wheel's going to be like this, right? And then you come out of the corner and you straighten up the wheel. So that's the dry, right? And at the apex, you're committing on the power, and then you're straightening up the power or the wheel as you're on the power. In the wet, instead of getting on the throttle here at the steering wheel as well, and at the apex, once you get to about here, that's when you start putting on the power. So if that helps you visually, that's an idea of where you should be. Almost in a straight line, and then commit to the power. So, guys, we'll wrap it up today, but this is the golden rule, guys, and I hope the footage has helped. I hope I didn't overcomplicate things for you, but just keep it simple. Okay, lads? The adrenaline can get away with people. Like, I mean, even in racing cars back in my day, right? We were still making the same mistakes too, right? Except obviously in a much smaller fine detail we were making mistakes, but we still made the mistakes that we call it overdriving the kart or overdriving the car, where we might just be carrying, the adrenaline's flaring, you're under pressure, and even the F1 boys, even Ayrton Senna still made these mistakes every now and then. You just got a little carried away. Now I'm talking again like the most minimal, all right, mistake from an F1 driver or racing driver. But try and keep it steady, especially when the adrenaline kicks in. And here's the other thing, and I'll leave you with this. It can be kind of like golf, if any golfers are out there. Like Tiger Woods there when he won the last major at Augusta a few years ago, okay? The guy didn't outperform everybody. He let his enemy destroy themselves, and he just stayed exactly where he is. So sometimes the win can come to you. You don't have to be 10 out of 10. You could be 8 or 9 out of 10, but the other guy will just completely bottle it or blow it all up. So that's the whole point with the adrenaline. People get carried away. They think they think they need to be carrying more speed into the corner. I've seen this thousands and thousands of times, especially when the adrenaline kicks in, because for some people it can be tough, right? You're not used to adrenaline, all right? So trying to perform under the adrenaline, all of a sudden it's a totally different world. And by the way, I get that. I understand that completely. Jeez, it makes sense. So just remember this. Be 8 out of 10. Just be 8 out of 10. Slow in, fast out, and your opponent can take themselves out of the race. That's the only bit of explanation I can give you, lads. I hope it helps. And this weekend, we will be back, of course. We're going to be reviewing Austrian Grand Prix. Can't wait. Verstappen's home turf. Can he bring the fight to McLaren? Oh, dear Lord. Well, we're going to get into it on Friday. But for now, ciao, guys and ladies. Hope it helps. And good luck. Kick your ass. Kick your friends' ass.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front with the fifth all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.